Wow. It is always so good to be home. And you hear me say this every year when I'm back, but it is so good to be home. It's so good to be home in Alaska and to be back in the chamber. The opportunity to kind of do the walkabout and visit with people over some sugary donuts, to just be with friends and those who we've done so much together. Sometimes it makes me a little bit nervous because you know how much we've done together. But I really am delighted to be back with all of you. I come back to the state this time with 4 new and really very significant responsibilities. Now you know about my being senior senator. It's kind of like it's an oh my gosh moment. I missed Ted. Ranking member of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee, member of the Senate Appropriations Committee. I've also agreed to serve on the Senate leadership team as counselor to my leader, Senator Mitch McConnell. I continue to serve on the HELP Committee, the Health, Education, Labor, Pensions Committee, and also on the Indian Affairs Committee. So it makes for a pretty busy life. And of course, there's that other side of my life, the mom and wife side that you always get the update on. I have taken on the added responsibility now of being college counselor. Nick is in his senior year. He's 6'5". You know, I'm always looking up to him as you should to your teenage sons. But he's looking at colleges, so I've been in the nag mode for about 4 months trying to get him through that process. Our 16-year-old is coming along just fine. We're waiting for the judgment side of the teenage male brain to fully engage, but he too is doing well. And Vern is the constant glue and the support that keeps us together. But we're doing fine back in Washington, D.C. I've got some friends of yours that I brought with me today that have been helping me out in Washington. My Chief of Staff, Karen Knutson, in the back there. Many of you know Karen. Karen hails from Ketchikan. So we're kind of the dynamic duo, me having been born there, Karen having been raised there. We got Ketchikan covered. I think it's a good thing. Next to Karen, we've got Connie McKenzie. Connie McKenzie has been the delegation staff here for years. Mike Brumas is my communications director. Many of you have had an opportunity to chat and get to know Mike. He's doing a great job for us in Washington. And then next to Mike is that total stranger to you, Mackay Campbell, who we have stole from Juneau to come and head the Energy Committee. He is the staff director for the minority and is helping me in that capacity. So it makes me feel good when I'm back there in Washington to know that I've got good, strong Alaskans surrounding me at all times. So I appreciate you all being here. If you can't get your questions answered by me today, they're the go-tos right back there. Now, we all recognize how we travel. Alaskans travel far and wide, but we never forget our roots, and my roots are really right here in the Alaska Legislature. It was here in this chamber that I learned that each issue is to be evaluated on its merits. You learn here that there are no easy votes. The coalition culture that we have here in the Alaska Legislature trained me to think of each of my U.S. Senate colleagues as an individual and to work with any one of them when we share those common interests. It was 6 years ago that I went to the United States Senate, and I went determined to work hard for Alaska, to work with members of both parties, and to work with the administration, whoever they are. 6 years later, I think that this approach is paying dividends for the state of Alaska. So I'm delighted to be with you today on my 7th annual address. I can't believe it's been 7 already. But you look at your kids and you do recognize that it has been 7. There is so much to talk about. And I'm going to try to move through my comments, my prepared comments quickly so that we do have an opportunity at the end for questions. Change is absolutely in the air. We've got a new president who was elected to office on a platform of change, a president who has pledged to lead a nation that is neither red nor blue, but America. It seemed like there were about 1,000 Alaskans who came back to Washington, D.C. for the inauguration. It was really a grand time to be in Washington, D.C. But now that the inaugural festivities have concluded, it's time for the new administration to deliver on its promise of change. Of course, the first task is to change the direction of the economy. Which one of us here, which one thinks that the national economy can tumble, but that Alaska is just going to keep rocking along? I don't think there's too many that think that. The financial crisis is being felt around the world. As world demand for oil and minerals decrease, the value of Alaska's oil and minerals fall. And this means that reductions in state revenues. It means the loss of jobs for Alaskans in the resource industry. But we know that it's not just limited to the resource industry. The Alaska tourism, that industry, means 40,000 jobs and billions of dollars of economic activity every year. So if the folks in the lower 48 are afraid to spend money, they're not going to be buying that once-in-a-lifetime trip to come to Alaska. Think about the ad campaign that we had not too long ago, the license plate before you die. People aren't going to be dreaming or fulfilling that dream to come to Alaska. It could be a very, very sorry summer for many Alaskans who depend on tourism to carry them through the winter. The stock market decline means that the Rasmussen Foundation must suspend large project grants to Alaskan communities. Stock prices also affect the value of state pension and savings funds, the permanent fund, of course, the municipal savings accounts, the native corporation investments. You know, we can go on, but I think we all see a very clear picture here. We may be doing things differently here in Alaska, but that does not immunize any of us from the national or the world economic trends. We share here in Alaska a common interest with the rest of the nation in getting the economy back on track and putting people back to work. And we share a common interest that this be done right, and done right the first time. The nation trusted Washington. They trusted us to design a stimulus package that was going to be targeted, timely, and temporary. This was what the president asked for. Putting money out into the communities that were suffering from unemployment, whether it was sudden unemployment or chronic unemployment, and creating jobs that would put people back to work quickly. But what they got, what the people of this country got, was a stimulus package that spends billions and billions of dollars, but in my opinion, is neither timely nor targeted. Only 13% of the money for infrastructure and the other projects designed to create jobs will occur this year. So if we're talking about the timeliness aspect, keep in mind the projections are that we're only going to be able to kick out 13% this year.